Hi everyone, and welcome back to the workbench. Today I'm going to cover something a little bit different. How I made my custom ERTL Thomas and the Magic Railroad Thomas. Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Definitely a movie, let's just say that. I haven't mentioned this movie yet on my channel, but I imagine I have similar thoughts on it to most. It was truly a favorite of mine until I rewatched it as a teen, and while I may not love the film now, it definitely has a lovely atmosphere and feeling to it. Since it's 25 years this year, I thought I might as well make a little tribute to it through my ERTL Thomas. I thought this might be a good opportunity to show you guys how I paint my models, so let's get into it. Now, since making my Thomas a few months ago, I had a spare body shell laying around that I already cut the face off. It's the newer mold, so I didn't really use it. I prefer the early 90s shape, but I thought it was the perfect candidate for this. I wanted to have a newer style Thomas with a face anyway, so let's just go with it. I custom mixed a darker blue acrylic paint and slowly started painting the body shell. It's important to mix your acrylics with water and apply thin coats for a smoother finish. It may take a few coats depending on the opacity of the paint, but it will be worth it in the end. I use a larger brush for the bigger areas and smaller detail brush around the lining. I try not to redo the lining if I don't have to. It's honestly a hassle at this scale, so I carefully outline it with my detail brush. Now, do this slowly. It takes time and many coats to build up. You can carefully scratch off the areas you messed up with to create a cleaner edge. I often use like a toothpick for this, just to make sure I don't scratch off the paint. I decided to just cover up the number 1 as I found it large and kind of odd looking. Especially on this version, for some reason the 1 is like further back. I just don't really like it, so I made my own later. Compared to my main Thomas, he's quite a few shades darker, and I actually like it a lot. After everything is dried for a few hours, then you can go in with the black. Now be careful, if you need you can always use tape around the areas. Use thin, watery coats of paint and carefully build it up. I use this opportunity to fill in the cab door as Thomas doesn't have one in the movie, and with yellow paint I added the trim around the cab windows. Now this was done freehand, so it's a little bit messy, but it's fine. I used blue again to help fix up the wobbly lines. While I let that dry, I moved on to the decals. I removed the cab sticker and it came off fairly well, so I scanned it on my printer and reprinted it. I usually digitally edit these on Illustrator, but to match the color, I just hand painted around the windows. The number 1 though was done on Adobe Illustrator by using a photo of the original one and retracing it. This was then printed and stuck on at a smaller scale. Finally, for the body, a lamp was painted on the back, very simply, but it works. Literally just a dot with a red dot inside of it. Now, originally I was going to use the wheels and running board from my other Thomas and just use them interchangeably, but the wheels were noticeably lighter and the running board was just too light for my liking. So I stole one off another Thomas and got to work. Custom mixing red, I covered the entire running board in a few coats to build up the opacity. I decided to go all out and add a white running board too. I decided to try and make it in the style of the later ERTLs of like 2002 to 4, as I thought it might be nice to have a detailed Thomas. I filled in the details and made the buffers. My hack for buffers is to hole punch some paper and paint them black, then stick them on and bam, buffers. I usually like to add a bit of gloss on top of them to emulate the stickers that they used to use, but in this case I didn't really have to. Finally, I painted the wheels. With the same blue, I filled them in one at a time and did about 3 coats of blue. If the paint is too thick, you tend to lose the details, so be careful. After that, I used a silver paint pen to outline the wheels, like the later ERTLs, and they were done. I let everything dry for a day and then varnished. I wanted to keep the model matte like the movie, but I would rather it be protected. Plus, I don't have any matte varnish, so I coated the whole thing in 2 very thin coats of gloss varnish. please do this very thin. If it's too thick, it will cloud and appear streaky, so be patient. And then I could finally assemble it to be complete. Something I neglected to mention was the face. I've had the wind-up ERTL face for years and always thought it looked very Magic Railroad style, so I thought this is the perfect opportunity. Now it has a perfect home and I won't lose it. As a little extra addition, I made a custom lamp out of card. It's just a circle with a rectangle at the back. Very simple, but adds to the overall look, I think. And that's really it. I'm really pleased with this one actually. I think it's one of my best repaints. Now I just need to make a lady because the ERTL one is huge. Maybe that's a future video, who knows. Thanks for watching everyone. It's been great seeing all of your comments on my last video. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Bye.